Hello everyone. Welcome to Conversations with Sakeina. Normally Monday through Friday we do something called Wise Words to Ponder. This week, we are doing something a little bit different using the Ghost Tarot cards that I just recently did a walkthrough on. This week's segment is called Into the Unknown. And what I am doing is taking stories from a website that I once ran from 2004 to 2017. It was called Night Watchman Chronicles, and it was a paranormal website. So the category for this week is time travel. So what I'm sharing with you here is a story that I've read out to Sakeina, and she has sent out jumpers as I shuffled to let us know what her take on this story is. Now, this is meant to be a true story from the person who sent it in to me. So let's see what it's all about. The story is called A Strange Journey by SS, and we are not using names, only initials. It was a warm autumn day, and my sister and I had arranged to catch the bus into town and do some shopping. I was 20 years old at the time, and she was 13 months younger. We were close and had been our whole lives, sharing a bedroom, clothes, friends, likes and dislikes. On this particular day, we were feeling lighthearted and happy, chatting and laughing and hoping to pick up some bargains in the city. We both enjoyed clothes and makeup and all things that girls were interested in. We had nothing more on our minds than alfresco coffee, who was dating who, and sales. To catch the city bus, we had to climb a steep set of gray concrete stairs and wait up on top of a narrow bridge that was built across the railway yard. Looking down, you could see the cars zooming under the bridge on the road, running parallel to the railway tracks. To the right was an uninterrupted view for kilometers down the main road that led to the beach. On either side of the road stood dozens of dated and empty shops, occasionally separated by vacant blocks of land, overgrown and neglected. To the left, and only 5 kilometers away, the city loomed tall and gray, surrounded by lush green parks and gardens. It was always a pleasing sight on days like this, when the uninterrupted blue of the sky above complemented the gray of the drab buildings, tall, sleek, and usually uninteresting. This bridge was notorious for the accidents that occurred on and under it, usually fatal and some definitely intentional, or suicides. It was then approximately 90 years old and had been the subject of council debate on whether to update or close the bridge altogether. Despite all the bad press, I always enjoyed the view from the top of this ill-fated bridge. My sister and I stood side by the yellow bus stop pole, talking, laughing, and looking down the road to the right, hoping to sight the familiar flash of sun that glinted off of the big square front windows of the bus to warn us that it was on its way. In a split second, the road before us was gone. The bridge was gone. We found ourselves standing in the middle of a vast, hot, arid desert. The earth beneath our feet was red, and there was no sign of human life, any animal life, nor trees or vegetation. The atmosphere was so dry and strange, it seemed to suck the breath right out of us. The atmosphere was so hot and dry, it felt like standing too close to a raging fire. But there we were, side by side as we had been on the bridge, and we had just enough time to visually absorb our surroundings and stare incredulously at each other. Then, in a moment too brief to estimate, we were back on the bridge, still waiting for the bus. We had not moved a step, not a muscle. The look on my sister's face told me that she had just had the same odd experience. It wasn't just me. I remember saying to her, "I just saw the weirdest thing." And before I could describe my encounter, she described hers to me. It was identical to what I had just witnessed. She said, "It felt as if we were really there." The bus came quickly, and we stepped up and rode into the city. The experience was so weird and inexplicable that we have rarely ever spoken of it together since. So let's see what Sakeina has to say about this experience. First card we have is the 4 of Wands. Then we have the Knight of Cups, and the Eight of Wands. So with the Four of Wands, interestingly, it looks a bit like a bridge with the pillars and here going across. Sakeina is saying it was actually a portal, a time portal or crossroads. Just kind of where they stood was like a switch, like flipping a switch. And what you're seeing in the card here is maybe what someone else might have seen, she says, if they were walking on the bridge also, or say in an airplane overhead, is the sun catching their fading bodies as they slipped through that time portal from the modern world to the world they described. And she says with the King of Cups that this energy in this particular location was extremely active, moving energy. Maybe it was the date that got it going. Maybe it was the position of the sun, she says, that got it going. But there was a specific reason, unknown to her, why this activity took place while the girls were there. And she says this time portal, this situation was kind of like a very, very focused fire, or as though like if you were pulling back a bow and arrow and aiming the arrow, it was like a peak energy or a power drawing into a specific point, and it carried the girls with it. She's saying what brought them back was their stable positions on the bridge in the modern world. Their feet were grounded. So they were able to slip back just as quickly through whatever change took place in that very brief period when they were in that other time period, wherever that was, whenever that was. She says without that, the stable grounding that they had, they probably wouldn't have come back either as fast or in the same place. Take care.